State ascoltando OCWR.
Scribble music on my gold Game Boy, and my favorite tunes during the hours given me in my recreation were Poem by Rotterdam Termination Source, Amsterdam by Lichtatan by Euromasters, and James Brown is Still Alive by Holy Noise. Still, I had a dearer pleasure than this, which was to play Hawaiian traditional music on that retro device. My kick drums were harder and tougher than the one I sampled from. I was a close imitator, rather than doing as others had done with my 8-bit attitude, then putting down the suggestions of my mind. What I wrote was intended to be a parallel of the micro in micro music, but applied to literature. So LSDJ, Nintendo, Commodore 64 and so forth as a mean to play not classical or black music, but those old dusty volumes up on the shelf. I lived principally and passed a considerable amount of time in the Polonoise area. I made occasionally visits to more swinging capitals, London, Berlin, Vienna, etc. But I spent most of my time in the medieval Bologna, the area that is delimited of the 666 porticos up to the Madonna di San Luca. Lo-fi cream and frost-bitten, I call it in retrospection, but it was not so then. It was the era of freedom, where I could, unheeded, proceed with my experiments. And it was by sampling some local mazurka and the male dance that is well known for being the crouched polka bolognese that most of my tunes were born and fostered. I busied myself to think of a story. One that the spark mysterious fears, thrilling horror, one that would curdle the blood of the reader, one that would spark and make his heart beat above the 300 BPM threshold. I felt the blanket capacity of invention. That incapacity, which is the greatest misery of authorship, when dull nothing replies to our anxious invocations. Have you thought of a story? I made a ladder out of my devices: Spectrum, VIC-20, Intellivision, Amiga, Sega, and reached up for those dusty volumes on my shelf. Affeggiare Suburoi, Zang Tum Tum by Marinetti, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I was struck by the idea that the modern Prometheus, as its subtitle reads, that is just perfect to be nanotechnologized. Invention, must be admitted, does not consist in creating out of void, but out of chaos. The materials must be in the first place afforded. They can give square from dark, shapeless sound waves, but cannot bring into being the one-bit sound wave itself. Invention consists in the capacity of seizing on the capabilities of a subject and render it into 8-bit. In the power of molding and fashioning ideas suggested to it, and make you shoot rainbows out of your own ass. My mind sought solace in the pursuit of invention. I had thought of a story, accompanying it with tunes from my gold Game Boy. I began the day with the words, "It was on a dreary night of November," making only a transcript of the great horrors of my waking dream. And now once again I'm being my hideous progeny, now that he had a name. Sonic Belligeranza Records from shithole Bologna, to go forth and prosper. passed the summer of 1816 in the environs of Geneva at the Villa Diodati, rented by Lord Byronism with John Puss Rancidori and my future husband, Pervy Bisex Shelley. The season was cold and rainy, and after the customary seance, in the evenings, we crowded around a pair of Technics 1200 and amused ourselves with absurd hyper mashups of vinyl records which happened to fall into our hands. We used to mix everything together, from Hawaiian music to bubble and these sonic monsters, together with the gloomy atmosphere of the villa, excited in us a playful desire for freestyling. Thus, we started to rap on the top of the aforementioned mutant juxtapositions, until Lord Byronism, surely seized by an abusive and blasphemous euphoria, suggested a slam poetry on the most sickening sonic wretch. I suddenly had a premonition about the inevitable tragedy waiting for our wicked company. A retaliation on our explosive and irrepressible coprolalia. Sure enough, Lord Byronism would have died during a technical in Greece. My beloved Pervy Bisex Shelley would have drowned during a house music flavored home party. And John Puss Rancidori would have committed suicide after having published his notorious Vampires Freestyles in 1918. Before dying violently myself, I, Mary Eva Wynne Shelley, intended to describe the sonic wretch completed on that decisive night. But my memories were vague and almost lost in my lethargic and precarious mind. And so I found an odd way to bring my recollection to life. I stood like a human lightning rod on the roof of the Villa Diodati on a stormy night. The visceral sound blob I had created started to flow again in my body like the pouring rain in the irregular lightning. So here are 17 mashups that might prove suitable to spark life into a new human breed. The 8-bit Prometheus. I had retrod a step of knowledge along the path of time and exchanged the discoveries of recent producers for the dreams of the forgotten old school Amiga motherfucker. Besides, I had a contempt for the use of electronic dance music. It was very different when the masters of hardcore thought immortality and power. Such views, although futile, were grand. But now the scene had changed. One by one, the various keys of the Cassioton, which formed the mechanism of my being, were touched. Chord after chord of my guitar hero were played and resounded, and soon my mind was filled with one thought, one conception, one purpose. Whence, I often ask myself, did the principle of hardcore proceed? I saw how in 8-bit music, the fine waveforms of a tune were degraded and wasted into sine, square, triangle sound waves. I beheld the fine corruption succeed in the blooming frequencies of music. I saw how white noise inherited the supposed wonders of the ears. I paused, examining and analyzing all the sonic minutiae of causation, as exemplified in the change from music to noise, and noise to music. Until from the midst of the darkness, a sudden strobe light broke in upon me. A light so brilliant and irregular that while I was left dizzy with the immensity of the prospect which illustrated, I was surprised that among many men of genius who had directed their inquiries towards the same sonic science, that I alone should be reserved to discover so astonishing a musical secret. After days and nights of incredible labor and fatigue, I succeeded in discovering a little computer chip that could process 8 bits of information at a time. Although I possess the capacity of bestowing animation, yet to prepare a mega mix with all its bit mixing, bit juggling, scratching, still remained a work of inconceivable difficulty and labor. The materials present within my command hardly appeared adequate to so arduous an undertaking. Using only 4 channels of sound, 2 of which devoted to treble voices, 1 to bass, and the sole purpose of the 4th to make gritty sounding noises, as in micro music. The minuteness of the tunes formed a great hindrance to my speech. It was on a dreary night of November that I beheld the accomplishments of my toils. With an anxiety that almost amounted to agony, I collected the instruments of life around me, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay in front of my 66mm screen. It was already 1 in the morning. The rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burnt out when I saw a sinister message. The Game Boy was on, powered by its battery. The signal coming and going. How can I describe my emotions at this catastrophe? At first, what I was hearing could have been described as work of genius, but the progressive rock interpretations of the famous Super Mario Bros. Theme, played by late 1990s band Mini Bosses, painfully disclosed the sonic wretch I had endeavored to fall. The different accidents of life are not so changeable as the feelings of human nature. I had worked I worked hard for nearly 2 years for the sole purpose of infusing life into an 8-bit composition exclusively based on others' music. For this I had deprived myself of rest and health. I had lifted every music sample I could find, and now that my hyper mashup was sitting in my Game Boy, I just could not listen to it. I rushed out of my bedroom studio and continued a long time traversing my hallway. A length, lassitude succeeded to the tumult I had before endured. And I went back to the studio and soon threw myself on the bed, lying next to my Game Boy. I slept indeed, but I was disturbed by the wildest music dreams, porn grindcore remixes of Neapolitan pop singers.
Per far uscire qua gli errori, adesso.
State ascoltando OCWR Eclectic Sound with Care.